Hey y'all, Jim here with Sunrise Farm. Welcome back for part 5 of our transformational logging series here on our farm. Today's video will be the final video in our series, so it'll be the conclusion. And so we're going to take a look back at how it looked before we started, and then we're going to walk around the property and kind of show you where we're at now and all the stuff that's been done. So first, let's take a look back. So right about there is a little clearing my neighbor and I cut through from my property to his. This is where the cutting on mine's going to begin. They're currently finishing off his right now. And so most of this, the pines at least, most of this is going to end up going. And it's going to open up a lot of daylight for us. And so right in this area, you'll see in just a second on the other side, but there's like a little road behind this that's on my property. It was an old cut through road, like a hunting path. And so this is like a wood buffer. We're going to take about 50 feet of this buffer out so we can end up making better access to the backside here where my son's going to build his home. And this is the roadway that actually cuts across my neighbor's property and my property. Like I said, it's more of a hunting path, if you will. But all of this right here is on our property, and it goes back, I don't know, between 100 and 200 feet in different areas. It's kind of catty corner, if you will, oblonged. And so like I said, this little roadway, about 50-60 feet of this tree line, which our house is directly on the other side of it, will be cut back. So all of this, all the way back to my neighbor's fence, will be cut out. This was another little access path that goes all the way back to the backside of our property and meets his. And it's going to get cut all the way over to where he currently has one of his pasture fences for his cows, which is our property line, of course. So this is the backside of my shop, and we're going to have a portion up through there, up towards the front of our property, cut out. You can see the stack of trusses I've been working on. We had a pretty significant storm last night, so they're all looking soaked again, but it'll be a month or two before I get back to building those raised beds. That's how I've been building them. Now we are going to leave part of a wood line buffer here because I will eventually put some raised beds here as well. It's a great little spot. It gets great afternoon shade. And that's my driveway going out to the road, and I'll show you that in just a minute. So I don't know how obvious it is in this shot, but right about there is a kind of a clearing that my neighbor and I started to do for our property line. And so basically, if you imagine from there to there, going all the way, not to the street, but we've created a fire break about, I don't know, 60 feet off the street. So I'd say a couple 100 feet into that, it's going to get cleared down. Now, I'm not doing the hardwoods, they're staying, but anything pine is probably going to come out. All right, so here is my rest of my driveway, and as you can see, it's pretty well lined on both sides, and most of this is going to come out up to this fire break point that we created. And so part of this will become orchard, because we're going to do a lot of fruit trees. Part of this will become mobile chicken pasture, meaning when we start getting chickens, hopefully even later this year, we'll be ordering them. But I will get electric netting fencing and be able to move the chickens around. And my wife at this point swears she wants to do a few pigs. And so you can't exactly see it unless I go up to it, but right in there is probably about a 10-foot cleared area path from my property all the way over to my neighbor's property for a fire break. So from here on is where it'll get thinned out. Like all these pine trees and stuff will get thinned out and dropped. And then the same kind of holds true over here. It's actually more. It's actually more right there. It goes straight across to my neighbor's property. And so most of this will get thinned out. Well, all right. Well, now that you have a refresher of what it looked like beforehand, let's go ahead and start our walk around tour today. They've completely finished. They've loaded their equipment. They're out of here. So let's just see all the blank spaces, if you will, the opened up spaces, the areas that are now occurring, or have occurred, I guess I should say, on our farm. So I started the very first video out with that open space. There was a path that myself and my neighbor had cut through from my property to his. And so now you can see all this open space. That same path is just on the other side of that tree in actuality, but clearly you couldn't see it beforehand simply because of all the woods. Had we known then that we were gonna end up having this done, might have not wasted all the time and energy we did to cut that path in the first place. So here we are back on that hunting path that I initially showed you that cuts over to my neighbor's property. As you can see, that's part of his cattle fence there. And in his cattle fence, you can actually see it now because of all the woods being down, all the trees. You can see it back there, how it runs. So here, when we continue to pan around to that same continued hunting path that I initially showed you, wow, what a difference it makes on the backside of our property, huh? And then over here was that little bit of a buffer that I wanted them to take out a lot of trees so that we could have better access to the back here. Yes, of course, a lot of this needs still to be cleaned up. I mean, we knew that obviously going into it. And back over in this general area, you can see that we left one nice hardwood tree there, one nice oak. And back in this general area is where my youngest son, who just got married, will end up putting a home site for him. Well, clearly a lot of cleanup work still remains, and fortunately I have a tractor and I have a grapple for my tractor, so clean up a lot of this mess, and my neighbor has one as well. So we'll end up at some point, probably this fall or winter season, probably doing a pile and a burn. But as you can see, here's his property fence, or I should say our property fence. And then back there is one of the gates that he has that goes from one pasture to another for himself. So yeah, it's opened it up a ton, because now we can pretty much see everything. Well, let's continue on with the tour. So again, this is the area behind my shop where I do a lot of, pretty much all of my seed starting. Currently looks like a gigantic hot mess, but you know, such is life. We'll get it all cleaned up and shaped up. And in here, they open it up quite a bit. And that goes over to where my driveway was, and where yesterday's video was with that big tree that was in the kind of the almost the middle of my yard. Well, no, I wouldn't say the middle of my yard, but it was out in the yard close to the driveway. you go. You can see the corner of his fence, which is kind of sort of on our property line. And then there's I won't walk over there just now, but over there's a big giant gap going up our property line so we can put in some cattle fence. Cleared that space out behind this tree line that was down the driveway. Had them open up this corner a little bit. Tell you what, he took down some pretty stout trees. And see, this is my front yard, and most of this will be converted to well, some chicken pasture, but mostly farm. We're going to put a couple more plots out here. We're hoping next season to have a full 50 by 100 plot of okra. We realized just how much okra we need for our markets. What a difference, huh? All those trees that were there. And again, he did exactly what we asked by cutting up to that fire break, which you can see is the distance, the wood line in the distance. And this is basically gives us enough room width-wise to figure out our true property line and put that fence up. It's going to be awesome. Now let's carry over to the driveway. One of these days, when the extra money is there, since I'm going to keep doing YouTube videos and the like, and some local Facebook posts, I fully intend on getting a GoPro. Here's the driveway. You can see all this opened up. See it all opened up through there too. even though it's got debris on it, here's that fire break that I told you we cut. And I showed you looking down the, let's call it an alley, an opening up to it, how just amazingly open it is now. It'll definitely take us quite some time, probably honestly about 2 years to totally clean this up and make changes. But man, what a start. So there's the other side of the driveway I told you we were going through. Now you can see through there more clearly. You can clearly see over to my neighbor's property. What an amazing blessing. Well, all right, folks, that's going to wrap it up. I hope you've enjoyed this series, seeing the transformation of changes and just the amazing work that those tree cutting machines and logging machines do. In totality, it only took them about 3 days to do my property. Actually more like 2.5. So yeah, it doesn't take them long. It only takes them a couple of minutes to cut a few trees, and yeah, they've got quite the system down. So logging trucks coming in and out, getting loaded. So that was all transpiring on my neighbor's property. They had a place set up over there, and it was just agreed upon that, you know, everything would be hauled to that side and loaded. So please put your thoughts and questions in the comments, and I just am so thrilled at the work being done. I know there's a lot of work ahead with the cleanup, but I am just beyond excited to get more and more out of our farm and to see what the Lord has for us in the next couple of years. So again, I just thank you so much. If I could humbly ask that you would like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification to be notified of any future videos, that would be awesome. And again, as always, you are just a tremendous blessing to me, my family, and this farm. So thank you so much. Take care, God bless you, and we'll see you in the next video.